when I'm in the studio or when I'm being creative in the music space, I'm inspired by absolutely everything. And one of the most important tools, and this is kind of like a secret weapon, it's not that much of a secret weapon, but it's something I don't really talk about too much, is that I have to, everything's so fleeting and so fast paced that if I don't take notice and document every detail that inspires me, then I'll forget why it moves me and how it can affect my own art. Even a sound. I hear a really interesting sound, I'll sample it, I'll record it and I'll sample it and put it in my music. Like a car going over a bump in like an empty garage. I'm like, oh, that sounds pretty interesting. I'll sample it. Oh, not sample, I'll record it. And I have like a banks and banks and banks of stuff. So like, you know, that's like, for me, like I need to constantly do that. And then the next step is applying that to, you know, what I love to do. I'm having fun, man. I'm having fun on stage. You know, like, I want to make my show fun. I'm not, you know, as serious as Neon Future Experience, the concept is. You know, I have these high-tech visuals and production that really costs a lot of money and time to really bring out something that represents Neon Future. I have these robots on stage and all this stuff that's very intellectually superior on this technological level that I've ever dealt with. But I want to balance that with just pure fun elements and make the crowd have that same level of fun. So that's why I do all this stuff, because I want people to be smiling and enjoying themselves and having a good time and jumping and not caring. I probably did about 250 traveling days and 300 shows, because I would do like 2 shows in a day. Probably the most epic that I've ever done was 5 shows in 40 hours, 5 different cities, 4 flights, 40 hours. So less than 2 days, I did 5 cities, 4 flights, and slept on the plane every time. And then flew out after the last show without even sleeping in a bed. Well, I guess it's influence. It's like, what kind of influence does an artist have with their art? Is it, you know, like, can it cross outside of their space and affect other people and draw attention to their art? Well, I mean, I have Neon Future 2 coming out May 12th. That's, so far, that's, you know, that's kind of wrapping up the chapter of music that I've been working on for the last 2 years. There might be a Neon Future 3, because as I'm finishing Neon Future 2, I wrote a ton of more ideas that when I was wrapping up the songs for Neon Future 2, I was like, I just started writing a bunch of other songs. So I have like enough ideas to even come up with a new album, but I'm gonna sit on those ideas and let them, you know, let them see if they survive. As well as my residency in Las Vegas at Hakkasan and Web Republic. You know, I got those shows going on there too. And yeah, my main thing is the album.